Good afternoon, friends. In today's lecture, we will start unit number 3. That first point, that is the study of morphology, then study of classification, then introduction, reproduction, and replication of fungi and viruses. First, we will see the introduction about fungus. So, what is fungi or what is fungus? A fungus is a eukaryotic organism that digests the food externally. Yes, these are the eukaryotic microorganism. Then second thing, it digests the food externally, and then it absorbs the nutrient directly through its cell wall. Third characteristic, that is, it absorbs the nutrients directly through the cell walls. Then the most fungi reproduces by spores and have a body that is thallus and is composed of microscopic tubular cells called as hyphae. Yes, what I am saying, or we can say that hyphae. Yes, the most of fungi reproduces by spores and have a body that is, it is called as thallus, and it is composed of microscopic tubular cells and is called as hyphae. Then the fungi are heterotrophic, and yes, the fungi are heterotrophs, and like animals obtain their carbon and energy source from other organisms. Obtain their carbon and energy source from other organisms. Some fungi obtain their nutrients from a living host, that is plant or animal, and it is called as biotrophs. Yes, some fungi obtain their nutrients from living host, that is plant or animal, and is called as biotrophs. Then other fungus obtain their nutrients from dead plant or the animals and is called as saprotrophs or saprophyte or saprobes. Yes, some fungi obtain their nutrient from living host, that is plant or animal, then it is called as biotrophs. Then the some or other or some fungi obtain their nutrients from what? The nutrient from dead plant or animals and is called as saprotrophs or the saprophyte or the saprobes. Then some fungi infect a living host but kill host cells in order to obtain their nutrients. These fungi are called as necrotrophs. Yes, what I am saying, some fungi infect a living host but kill the host cells in order to obtain their nutrients, and the is called as necrotrophs. Then a fungus or a fungi is defined as a group of unicellular, multicellular, or symplasmic or spore producing organism, or the spore producing organism feeding on organic matter. Yes, what is fungus? Is defined as a group of unicellular, multicellular, or symplasmic. Then it is spore producing organism feeding on a organic matter. Then it includes first molds, yeast, mushroom, and toadstools. Yes, it includes molds, yeast, mushrooms, and toadstools. Then they are usually filamentous. These fungi are usually filamentous, and their cell wall made up of a protein called as chitin. Yes, keep in mind, it is important for MCQ. Yes, these fungi, these are usually filamentous, and their cell wall is made up of a tough protein, and this protein is called as chitin or chitin. Then the organism have no chlorophyll. Yes, this fungus having no chlorophyll and reproduce by both of sexual of fungi is called as mycology, and fungal diseases are called as mycosis. Yes, the reproduction of fungi is by the sexual reproduction and is called as mycology, and these fungal diseases are called as mycosis. Then saprophytes, these organisms produce their nutrition. These organism produces their nutrition from dead and decaying organic matter. These are the organisms which produces their nutrition from dead and decaying organic matter. These saprophytes are either obligate or the facultative. An obligate saprophyte, it remains saprophytic during its entire lifetime, while the facultative saprophytes is nothing but a parasite that has secondarily become a saprophytic. Then next, that is symbiote. Symbionts. Some fungi develop a symbiotic association. Yes, some fungi develop the symbiotic association with green or the blue-green algae. And this constitute the lichen. Then this constitute the lichen. Here the algal component is a photosynthetic, while the fungal component, it plays the reproductive part. Then we will see, so this is all about the introduction or the introductory part about fungus. Then we will see the characteristics of fungi. First, fungi is a separate kingdom. Then second, fungi is a eukaryotic organism. First, it is, or fungi is a separate kingdom. Then fungi is a eukaryotic organism. Then most are multicellular and some are unicellular. Then fungi lacks a chloroplast. Then fungi are organotropic heterotrophs. Yes, fungi are organotropic heterotrophs. Then mostly the fungi are saprophytic and some are parasitic. Mostly the fungi are saprophytic and some are parasitic. Then fungi grows in best in acidic environment, that is it tolerate the acidic pH. Then fungi can tolerate the high sugar concentration and dry concentration. Then most of the fungi are obligate aerobes, for example mold, and few are facultative anaerobes, for example yeast. Yes, I am repeating here, the most of the fungi are obligate aerobes, for example molds, and few are facultative anaerobes, for example yeast. Then the optimum temperature of growth of most saprophytic fungi is at 20 to 30 degrees Celsius, or 20 to 30, while 30 to 37 degrees Celsius for parasitic fungi. For saprophytic fungi, it is 20 to 30 degrees Celsius, and for parasitic fungi, temperature it is in the range of 30 to 37. Then the growth rate of fungi is slower than that of the bacteria. Then the cell wall of fungi is composed of chitin or chitin. Then the cell membrane of fungi it consists of ergosterol. Then the both asexual and sexual mode of reproduction, that is both asexual it means exomorph, and sexual it is teleomorph. Yes, what is asexual it means exomorph, and sexual it is teleomorph. So this is all about the characteristics. I'm continuing. The asexual method, that is fragmentation. It includes the fragmentation, somatic budding, fission, asexual spore formation. Yes, it includes fragmentation, somatic budding, fission, asexual spore formation. And in sexual methods, gametic copulation, gamete gametogam copulation, then somatic copulation and spermatization. Next characteristic, more than 2 lakh fungi species are known. Then more than 100 fungi are responsible for human infection. Then more than 20 species are responsible for causing a severe systemic human infection. Yes, more than 20 species are responsible for causing a severe systemic human infection. Then 35 species causes a less severe systemic disease or might causes a cutaneous or subcutaneous infection, and 45 species are causes Superficial cutaneous infection. Here I repeating, the more than 20 species are responsible for to causing a severe systemic human infection. Then 35 species causes a less severe systemic disease or might be causes the cutaneous or subcutaneous infection, and 45 species causes a superficial cutaneous infection. Then next characteristics, some fungi shows mutualistic relationship with higher plants. For example, mycorrhiza is a symbiotic associated with root of gymnosperm. Then next characteristic, secrete powerful hydrolytic enzymes. Then next, fungi exist in two fundamental forms: filamentous or hyphal form and budding form, that is mold and yeast. Budding form example, that is yeast, and filamentous or the hyphal form, that is mold. Yeast is a unicellular and filamentous. Then like plant may be unicellular yeast, like plants may be unicellular yeast or the multicellular mold. Yes, example of unicellular, that is yeast, and example of multicellular, that is mold, and composed of microscopic thread called as hyphae. Then most fungi store their food as a glycogen like animal, and plant store food as a starch. Yes, most fungi store their food as a glycogen like animal, and plants store their food as a starch. Then fungal cell membrane have a unique sterol, ergosterol, which replaces the cholesterol found in mammalian cell membrane. So this is all about the characteristics of fungi. We will see the different characteristics or the difference between the characteristics of fungi and the characteristics of bacteria. First characteristic, that is cell type. In fungi it is eukaryotic cell, and in bacteria it is prokaryotic. Then next characteristics, optimum pH. The optimum pH for fungi it is 4 to 6, and optimum pH for bacteria it is 6.5 to 7.5. Then optimum temperature for in fungi, for saprophytes it is 25 to 30 degrees Celsius, and for parasite 32 to 37 degrees Celsius, and for in bacteria it is mesophilic, that is 32 to 37 degrees Celsius. Then next characteristic, cell membrane. In fungi sterol is present, in bacteria sterols present except mycoplasma. Then next, that is oxygen requirement. And in fungi it is strictly aerobic, for example mold, and it is in facultative anaerobic, for example some yeast. In bacteria aerobic to anaerobic. Then light requirement, in fungi it is none, and in bacteria some photosynthetic groups occurs. Then carbon source, in fungi it is organic, and in bacteria it is inorganic. Then the concentration of sugar in laboratory media, in fungi it is 4 to 5%, and in bacteria it is 0.5 to 1%. Then cell wall component, in fungi chitin, cellulose or hemicellulose, and in bacteria it is peptidoglycan. Then next characteristics, susceptibility to antibiotic. In fungi sensitive to griseofulvin and resistant to penicillin and chloramphenicol, and in bacteria resistant to griseofulvin and sensitive to penicillin and tetracycline. This is all about the introductory part and the characteristics of fungi, and also the difference between the characteristics of fungi and the characteristics of bacteria. Next part, that is classification of fungi, we will see in next lecture. I will stop here.